This is a presentation of the special education process for the state of Vermont. This will be a very practical, common sense guide to how the process works. We'll skip any technical terms. For example, your doctor might use the word that the patient has otitis. To you and I, otitis, that's just an earache. The doctor might use the technical medical term rhinorrhea. For you and I, that just means a runny nose. So here, this will be a straightforward outline of the special education process. I came up with an acronym you can use to help with the process. REDIAL. Think about REDIAL. You start out with step 1, your referral, all the way through to the last step, which is a 3-year triennial evaluation. We'll talk about each step in REDIAL as the process moves along here. So step 1. You have to start out with a referral. Someone has to refer the student to special education. And it could be the parent or parents, the legal guardian, teachers can refer a student, doctors, the educational support team at the school, even a principal can make a referral. Basically, anyone who thinks this student is struggling and might need extra support in education can make a referral. Now, it's very important to note you have a right as a parent that once there is a referral, once it's received in a district, there's a timeline of 15 days to start the evaluation process, which means to hold the evaluation meeting. We'll talk about that in step 2. Step 2. Once the referral happens, the 15-day deadline starts, and the first thing you start with is the parental rights. Parents' rights are required by law, and not only that, the main point of having parental rights is to know that the parent and the student are the most important people in this whole process. Nothing goes forward, nothing moves ahead, nothing can begin without the approval and consent of the parent. The parent or legal guardian is in control of this process, and you have many rights to go along with this, such as these timelines. You have a right to a timely evaluation and a timely implementation of the IEP. So step 2, once you have the evaluation meeting, we need to get written parental consent. That's part of your parental rights. Nothing can happen without your legal written consent to do the testing and the evaluation. Once this consent is given, from that date, there's 60 days to complete the evaluation process. So as a parent, you want to mark your calendar and make sure you know the school is going to work within 60 days to do the evaluation. Now step 3, it's the eligibility. Once the evaluation is completed, and this includes doing all the assessment testing, the cognitive testing, all the various tests, the input from the parents, the whole team to find out what are the areas we think there's a need for education, what were the areas where we think there's a disability, why is the student struggling. When we get all that data in, this is where step 3 comes in, the eligibility meeting. Is the student eligible for special education? And there's 3 criteria in the state of Vermont you have to meet, often called the 3 gates. Disability, adverse effect, and need. So first, is there a disability? You may have a disability, but you might not have a need, or it might not adversely affect the child's education. So for example, someone could be blind, but with having Braille as an accommodation, they can achieve just fine in their tests, in their school, in their academics. They'll get A's, they'll master quizzes, they'll learn the content. So just because you have a disability, it doesn't mean that you need special education. So then you determine, does it have an impact on any of the basic skills areas? So adverse effect, it has to affect reading, writing, comprehension, math calculation. There's a whole list of the basic skill areas. And then finally, there's a need. Do you have a need for special education services that otherwise couldn't be met through the supports in the regular ed curriculum? And again, note the timeline. It's highlighted here on each slide in red. You have 30 days once you're found eligible to hold an IEP meeting and write the IEP. This is step 4. Step 4 is writing the IEP. You have 30 days to meet and write the IEP if the student is found eligible. First, you want to develop the IEP, and there's parts you have to look for as a parent. We want to show in there exactly what are the present levels of the student's performance. How do they perform in school currently right now? And then we want to write some goals and objectives to help the student to catch up or to achieve or on grade level or do well in the curriculum. And to do this, we want to put in services and accommodations. So services are direct services from special educators and indirect in the classroom and from support like paraeducators and so forth. The accommodations can be anything from allowing extra time on a test or shortening assignments. There's a whole host of accommodations that students can have. So look for these parts for the IEP. Now, finally, to wrap this up, there's things you want to know and go back to. That you have parents' rights. Parents' rights need to be given and presented to you each time we meet for an IEP meeting and so forth, and we require you to sign that we've given them to you. You have due process. If during the eligibility meeting, for example, the student is found not to be eligible, you have a right to request additional testing. And that one time when you request that, the district has to pay for that testing. So it's not, the burden's not on you. You don't have to pay for that third-party testing. Also, progress reports. We want to look at student achievement, on the goals and objectives. You have to report out as a special educator at least as much as the general ed students. This means every time there's a report card or progress report, same thing for students on an IEP. And then every year we hold an annual IEP review to update the goals and objectives and see how the progress is. And then finally, or lastly, in the REDIAL acronym, the L is for lastly, every 3 years we do another evaluation to determine what the levels of abilities are in achievement and the cognitive abilities and so forth. See if the child still needs to receive special education support services. I hope this tutorial helps you with the special education process. Thank you.